You talked about the first attachment. The antidote is forgiveness, but what are some of the other ways in which we can overcome these attachments?
Well, one of the attachments that's very common is our attachment to perfection. We're born to be the best that we can be, and there's lots of pressure at home and in school and at work to be the best that we can be. And some people get hijacked by the need to be perfect. And that's a real problem because it doesn't give you permission to make mistakes. It doesn't allow you to be vulnerable.
Does that start at school or at home? Where does that originate?
I think it starts at all these places. I think oftentimes it starts at home. I remember I was talking to a top executive of Fortune 50 company, and he was telling me about his father. And his father was quite narcissistic, but he never embraced him if he didn't have a perfect score. And so that became his mantra, to have to be perfect to be loved and to be successful. The flip side of that is to be comfortable with our imperfect self, because we are imperfect by definition, by human nature. And we make mistakes, we fall down, we get up. So we have to give ourselves permission to be that kind of human being. But a number of people can't do that. I had a woman, Ray, work with me. She was a writer and an editor of some of the work that I did years ago. And she openly admitted she was a perfectionist. And she really had to allow herself to be good enough. And just in life, and she was always good enough, but she held herself to such high standards of perfection, and she was quite anxious a lot of time.
The Fortune 50 executive who talked about needing to be perfect in order to win his father's approval, while he might have had success from the outside, you and I might look at him and say, well, he was a successful person, business person, but was he happy?
Well, that's a very interesting point, because one of the attachments is the attachment to success. And it's quite common among a lot of hard-driving executives and people at work and in life. It's okay to have a drive for success, but when you need success and achievement in order to feel good about yourself, you've got a problem. Because suddenly you are driven by extrinsic standards of success rather than an intrinsic standard that says, I'm a good person, I'm a moral person, I have principles, I don't get it right all the time, but I do my best. And so a lot of people get hijacked by that. And so they live a scarcity mindset. Something is missing inside of them despite their successes. And the aspiration to that is a feeling of abundance, that you have everything that you have right now, you're comfortable with yourself, you can always raise the bar, but you're a fundamentally good human being. And falling in love with yourself and knowing that who you are as a human being drives what you do, not the other way around, that what you do defines who you are. And that is a paradigm shift that is very important for people who have an attachment to success.
One of my favorite questions to ask people as I'm getting to know them is, how do you define success? And it's so revealing. Their answers are so revealing.
For some people, success means money, but my definition doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with pursuing your higher purpose and enjoying doing it. So you could be a great artist or a great basketball player or a great top executive making tons of money. Everybody has their own definition of success.
And their definitions change over time. So I bet 25-year-old Bob had a very different definition than today's Bob.
No question about it. I know in the chapter on the attachment to youth, which is a really common attachment that many of us have, I talk about the midlife angst that many people have. And the reason is that in our 30s, we are probably have the optimal cognitive development. We're the most creative that we are in our 30s. We have what's known as fluid intelligence, and we chase rewards and we try to be the best that we can be. But over time, the intelligence shifts to something called crystallized intelligence. And that is more about giving back and teaching and being wise. But a lot of people stay on the train and they chase awards and they chase rewards, and they're not happy because they're not building relationships. And they disconnect from family and disconnect from friends, and they wonder why they are having mid-career angst. And it's because they haven't shifted how success changes over time. Because when we get in our 40s and 50s, the real power of relationships starts to take hold, and it makes us happier.